All right, Reddit, buckle up. I never thought I'd be one of the sad bastards pouring their guts out on a throwaway account at 3 a.m. But here we are. I need to vent before I actually explode. Context: I'm Mark, 32. My wife is Jessica, 30. We've been married for 7 years, together for 10. On paper, we were the golden couple. Nice house in the suburbs, good jobs, trying for our first kid. But honestly, the last 6 months have felt like I was living with a moody teenager who hates her dad. Jessica has always been, let's call it spirited, high maintenance. She wants what she wants when she wants it. I usually found it attractive, that drive she had. But lately, that drive turned into pure venom directed squarely at me. The shift wasn't subtle. It was like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, her phone became Fort Knox. She used to leave it on the coffee table. Now it was glued to her hand or face down on every surface. If I walked into a room while she was typing, she'd practically snap her neck trying to lock the screen, followed by an immediate aggressive glare.
"What are you hovering for, Mark? Jesus, give me some space," she'd snap, even if I was just walking past her to get water. If I asked who she was texting, I got the eye roll of the century. It's just work stuff, okay? God, stop being so insecure, it's pathetic. And the sex? Yeah, right. That train left a station months ago. We went from a pretty healthy twice-a-week average to absolutely nothing. I tried initiating, trying to romance her, but it was like trying to seduce a brick wall, a really bitchy brick wall. She was always too tired, too stressed, or my personal favorite, I just don't feel connected to you right now because you're always nagging me. The gaslighting was gold medal worthy. She had me thinking I was the crazy one for noticing she was treating me like garbage. I was starting to feel like a ghost in my own house, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Little did I know, the whole damn ceiling was about to cave in.
So fast forward to last Friday. Jessica tells me she's going out for drinks and appetizers with her friend Ashley. Ashley is single, chaotic, and Jessica usually comes home from these nights complaining about how messy Ashley's life is. I'm sitting on the couch, watching TV, while Jessica is getting ready upstairs. When she comes down, my jaw hits the floor, and not in a good way. She's wearing this tight red slip dress that she hasn't worn since our anniversary 3 years ago. She looks incredible, but also way too dressed up for a dive bar with Ashley. "Wow," I said, trying to be nice. "You look great. Little fancy for McFinnigan's, isn't it?" She immediately spun around, eyes narrowing. "It's a cocktail lounge, Mark, not a dive bar. God, why do you always have to make me feel stupid for wanting to look nice? Just because you've given up on your appearance doesn't mean I have to."
Ouch. I'm in decent shape, go to the gym 3 times a week. But okay, I put my hands up and surrender. I didn't mean it like that. Have fun. Whatever. Don't wait up. I might crash at Ashley's if we drink too much. She grabbed her keys and slammed the front door so hard the windows rattled. I sat there fuming, feeling like a beaten dog. I decided to order a pizza and just zone out. I reached for the family iPad on the coffee table to pull up the delivery app. We share an Apple ID on the tablet for apps and movies, but usually our iMessages are separate. Usually. I unlock it, and right as I'm about to click on the pizza app, a banner notification drops down from the top of the screen. New message from gym trainer Ryan. "You close? I'm already hard thinking about you."
My blood turned into ice water. I stared at the screen, blinking, thinking maybe I hallucinated it. Gym trainer Ryan? Jessica doesn't even have a gym membership. She does yoga in the living room. Then another one. "Don't forget the oils this time. I want to ruin you tonight." My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the tablet. I tapped the notification. It opened up a message thread that went back 3 months. I wish I hadn't looked. I really wish I hadn't. It was vile. It was graphic. It was intimate in a way she hadn't been with me in years. There were photos, nudes, sent from our bathroom while I was downstairs cooking dinner, videos. And the text she sent 10 minutes ago, right before she slammed the door on me? "Leaving the loser now. He thinks I'm with Ashley. I need you to fuck the stress out of me. He's been so annoying all week." I felt like I was going to throw up. I scrolled up and saw text from last week. "Ryan, you sure he won't suspect anything? Jessica, please, Mark is clueless. He's like a puppy. I could have sex with you in our bed and he'd probably just ask if I had a good time. I dropped the iPad on the couch and ran to the bathroom, barely making it to the toilet before I puked up my lunch. The betrayal wasn't just physical. She was mocking me. She was laughing at me with this guy. The girls' night was a lie. Ashley was a lie. Every argument, every time she called me insecure, every time she rejected me in bed, it was all for Ryan. I sat on the bathroom floor, wiping my mouth, staring at the tile. The shock was fading, and something else was taking its place. A cold, dark rage I didn't know I was capable of. I wasn't going to just sit there. I grabbed my phone. I needed to see this for myself. I opened the Find My app. She hadn't turned off her location.
The blue dot on the screen wasn't hovering over McFinnigan's. It was stationary at an apartment complex called the Hudson on the other side of town, nowhere near where she said she'd be. I didn't even think. I grabbed my keys, got in my car, and peeled out of the driveway. I must have broken 4 traffic laws getting there. My heart was hammering so hard against my ribs, I thought I was having a heart attack. When I pulled into the Hudson's visitor lot, I spotted her white SUV immediately. It was parked right in front of Building B. I killed my lights and parked 3 rows back, hidden by a dumpster and a lifted truck. Then I sat there, waiting. It was 11:30 p.m. I decided to set the trap. My hands were shaking so bad I had to retype the text 3 times. Me: "Hey babe, falling asleep here. How's it going? Ashley still a mess?" I watched the second floor window where a light was on. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed.
OMG, yes! She's crying in the bathroom right now about her ex. It's so loud in here, I have a headache. Might be another hour. Go to sleep, don't wait up. Liar. Pathological, cold-hearted liar. 10 minutes later, the front door of Building B opened, and there they were. Jessica walked out, hair messy, wearing that red dress, but she wasn't alone. Walking her to the car was a guy who looked like a G.I. Joe action figure. Huge arms, tight t-shirt. Ryan. They stopped at her car. He grabbed her waist, hands all over her, and pulled her in for a deep, long kiss. I watched him grab her ass. I watched her laugh and whisper something in his ear that made him smirk. It was a kind of intimacy she hadn't shown me in years. I couldn't breathe. The rage took over. I slammed my car into drive and screeched across the parking lot, pulling up diagonally right behind her SUV so she couldn't back out. I jumped out of the car before I even put it in park. "So," I yelled, my voice cracking, "Ashley's been working out, huh?" Jessica jumped about a foot in the air. She spun around, her face going from lusty to pure shock, and then, almost instantly, to anger. "Mark?" she shrieked. "What the hell are you doing here?" Ryan took a step back, putting his hands up. "Whoa, buddy, calm down." "Don't you buddy me, you roided-out piece of trash," I spat at him. I looked at Jessica. "You're lying to my face via text while you're sucking face with this guy? Seriously?" I expected tears. I expected "I'm sorry." I expected guilt. Instead, Jessica crossed her arms over her chest and narrowed her eyes. "You tracked me? You actually tracked my phone? You are such a controlling psycho. This is exactly why I can't stand being around you." I was floored. I'm the psycho? I'm the one being controlled? Jessica, I read the texts on the iPad. I know you've been screwing him for months. She didn't even flinch. She just scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. "Oh, great. So you're snooping through my private messages now, too. You have no respect for my privacy. None. This marriage is a prison. We share that iPad," I screamed, "and you're cheating on me. You're having sex with a stranger and coming home to treat me like dirt." "He's not a stranger," she snapped, stepping closer to Ryan as if to protect him from me. "He listens to me. He actually appreciates me. Unlike you, who just sits around the house expecting me to be a 1950s housewife. We haven't had sex in 6 months because of stress, but you have time for this?" I gestured wildly at the apartment complex. "Yeah, well, maybe if you knew how to please a woman, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "Ryan makes me feel alive. You make me feel dead." It felt like she punched me in the throat.
I stood there, stunned into silence by the sheer audacity of it. "Move your car, Mark," she said coldly, reaching for her door handle. "I'm going to Ashley's for real this time. I'm not coming home to deal with your drama tonight." "My drama?" I whispered. "Move the car." She got in and slammed the door. I looked at Ryan. He just shrugged, looking bored, and walked back into his building. I moved my car. I watched her speed off, and then I stood alone in the parking lot of the Hudson, realizing my marriage didn't just end, it had been murdered. I don't remember the drive home. I must have been on autopilot. I just remember pulling into the garage and staring at the empty spot where her car usually sat. A wave of nausea hit me again. Walking into the house was the hardest part. It was dead silent. The house we bought 2 years ago, the one we painted together, the one where we talked about which room would be the nursery. It felt like a mausoleum. Every picture on the wall was a lie. There was a photo of us in Maui from last year on the hallway console. We looked so happy. I remembered that trip. We had great sex that week. Or at least I thought we did. Now, looking at her smile in that photo, I wondered who she was texting while I was in the shower. I grabbed the frame and hurled it across the room. It shattered against the opposite wall, glass spraying everywhere. It didn't make me feel better, but the noise broke the suffocating silence. I went straight to the liquor cabinet and grabbed a bottle of bourbon. I didn't bother with the glass. I marched upstairs to our bedroom, the scene of the crime, figuratively speaking. I stared at the bed she said she was too stressed to use with me, the bed she swore she felt disconnected in. I stripped the sheets off. I couldn't stand looking at them. I balled them up and threw them into the hallway. Then I sat on the bare mattress, bottle in hand, and just broke down. It wasn't a dignified cry. It was ugly. I was hyperventilating, snot running down my face, rocking back and forth. The anger was there, sure, sitting like a hot coal in my stomach, but the sadness was overwhelming. Her words in the parking lot kept looping in my head like a broken record. "You make me feel dead. Maybe if you knew how to please a woman." That shit cuts deep, guys. It attacks the core of your manhood. I sat there wondering if she was right. Was I boring? Was I bad in bed? Did I drive her to this? For about 20 minutes, I let her gaslighting win. I felt worthless. I felt like I was the villain in her story. But then the bourbon hit, and the sadness started to curdle back into rage. No, fuck that. I worked 60 hours a week to pay for this house. I rubbed her feet when she came home tired. I cooked dinner. I tried. She checked out. She chose to screw a meathead named Ryan instead of talking to her husband. I took another long pull of whiskey, wiping my eyes. I needed to sleep. I needed to black out and wake up from this nightmare. But then my phone started blowing up. Not a text or two, a constant buzzing. Bzz, bzz, bzz. I looked at the screen. It was 1 a.m. Who the hell is texting me? I picked it up. 5 texts from my sister, 2 from my best friend Mike, 1 from Jessica's mom. I opened Mike's first. "Mike, bro, are you okay? What is going on?" "Mike, don't do anything stupid, man. Just call me." My stomach dropped. I opened the text from my sister. "Sister, Mark, why is Jessica posting this? Is she serious?" Attached was a screenshot of an Instagram story Jessica had posted 10 minutes ago. It was a selfie of her, teary-eyed, fake tears, I knew that face, holding a glass of wine. The caption read, "Finally walked away from a toxic situation tonight. I tried for so long to make him happy, but the controlling behavior and the jealousy were just too much. I was scared for my safety tonight. Thank God for friends who protect you. Survivor, fresh start, emotional abuse." She had tagged Ashley. I stared at the phone, my vision blurring. She wasn't just cheating on me. She wasn't just leaving me. She was preemptively destroying me. She was painting me as an abuser to cover her own tracks because she knew I caught her. She was spinning the narrative before I even had a chance to tell anyone the truth. I wasn't sad anymore. The sadness evaporated instantly.
I stood up, gripping the phone so hard the case cracked. "You want a war, Jessica?" I said to the empty room. "Okay, let's have a war." I didn't have time to mourn my marriage anymore. I was in damage control mode. The adrenaline sobered me up faster than a pot of coffee. First things first, I saved everything. I grabbed the iPad and took photos of the screen with my phone, then I screenshotted the entire chat thread on the iPad itself and emailed the files to my secret work email. I downloaded the videos. I downloaded the nudes. I made 3 backups. If she tried to delete them remotely or claim I faked them, I was ready. Right as I hit send on the last email, my phone rang. It was Linda, Jessica's mom. I picked up and I didn't even get a hello. "I hope you're proud of yourself, Mark," Linda screamed. Her voice was shaking with rage. "Jessica just called me hysterical. She's terrified. I knew you had a temper, but stalking her? Threatening her in a parking lot? You're sick." "Linda, listen to me." "No, you listen," she cut me off. "She's staying at Ashley's tonight, and tomorrow she's coming to stay with us. Don't you dare go near her. I'm advising her to get a restraining order. I raised her better than to stay with an abuser." The irony was so thick I could choke on it. Jessica had played them all. She knew I found out, so she pulled the victim card to turn everyone against me before I could open my mouth. "Linda," I said, my voice deadly calm, "I'm going to send you a text right now. Before you call the police and before you let her spin any more of this fairy tale, I want you to look at it. And then I want you to ask your daughter who Ryan is. I don't want to see your excuses. It's not an excuse. Check your text." I hung up. I opened the gallery. I found the worst ones. I didn't want to do this. I really didn't. Showing your mother-in-law nudes of your daughter is a line you can't uncross. But Jessica accused me of abuse. She was trying to ruin my life. The gloves were off.
I attached 3 screenshots. A photo of Jessica topless, captioned, "Can't wait for you to wreck me later." The text from tonight, "Leaving the loser now. I need you to fuck the stress out of me." A text from last month where Jessica said, "Ugh, my mom is calling again. She's such a nagging old hag. I'm ignoring it. Let's meet up." I sent them. I stared at the phone. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The silence was deafening. My phone rang again. "Linda." I answered. "Did you see them?" Silence. Then a small, broken voice. "Mark, what is this?" "That's what she was doing tonight, Linda. She wasn't at a bar with Ashley. She was at an apartment complex with a guy named Ryan. I went there because I saw the texts on her iPad. That's why she's saying I stalked her. I caught her." She said you were hitting walls. She said..." Linda was stuttering. The wind was completely out of her sails. "I haven't touched her. I haven't even yelled at her until tonight when I found her in the parking lot with him. She's lying to you, Linda, just like she's been lying to me for 6 months." I heard Linda take a shaky breath. I need to call her father." "You do that," I said, "and tell Jessica to stop posting lies on social media, or I post these screenshots for everyone to see. I'm done protecting her." I hung up and immediately called the bank. It was 2 a.m., but I got through to the fraud department emergency line. "I need to freeze my joint accounts immediately," I told the operator. "I suspect unauthorized use is about to happen." I moved half the savings, my half, into my personal account that she couldn't access. I canceled the joint credit cards. Then I went to the master bedroom. I grabbed a trash bag. I didn't pack her clothes nicely. I swept her makeup off the vanity into the bag. I threw in her shoes, her stupid red dress that was hanging on the chair, her yoga mat. I dragged 3 bags of her stuff downstairs and tossed them onto the front porch. I was just locking the deadbolt when my phone pinged. A notification from Instagram. Jessica_B has deleted their story. A second text came through. It was from Jessica. "Jessica, you told my mother? You petty little bitch. You're going to pay for this. I'm coming over. Bring it on."
I knew I had about 20 minutes before the hurricane made landfall. I spent them pacing the living room, heart racing, phone in hand, ready to record. I checked the deadbolt 3 times. I engaged the heavy-duty security latch we installed last year, ironically at her request because she watched too many true crime documentaries. At 2:45 a.m., headlights swept across the front window. She was here. I heard the car door slam, followed by the sound of kicking. She was kicking the trash bags I'd left on the porch. Then, silence for about 10 seconds. I imagined her processing that her wardrobe was sitting on the welcome mat. Then, the pounding started. "Open the goddamn door, Mark!" she screamed. It was a guttural, animalistic sound. "I live here! You can't lock me out!" I walked to the door but didn't open it. I started recording video on my phone through the peek hole and the side window. "Go away, Jessica. You're drunk. We'll talk when you're sober and have a lawyer." "I'm not drunk." Spoiler, she was definitely drunk. "I want my iPad. You stole my property. Open the door or I swear to God I'll break it down."
"It's evidence," I shouted back. "And if you don't leave, I'm calling the cops." "Call them!" she shrieked. "I'll tell them you hit me. I'll tell them you pushed me down the stairs. Who do you think they're going to believe? Me, crying and scared, or the angry husband?" That chilled me to the bone. She was actually doubling down on the false accusation strategy. I backed away from the door. "I'm recording this, Jessica. Every word." That stopped her for a second. Then I heard her fumbling with her keys. The lock tumbled and the deadbolt slid back. She pushed the door open, but the security latch held. The door cracked open about 3 inches. I saw her face through the gap. Her mascara was smeared, her hair was wild, and her eyes looked black. She looked like a stranger. "Let me in," she hissed, trying to reach her arm through to undo the latch. "No," I said, backing up further. "Get out." She pulled her arm back and slammed her shoulder against the door. The wood groaned, but the latch held. She did it again. Bam! Bam! "I'm going to ruin you, Mark," she screamed. "You think you're so smart showing my mom those texts? I'll tell everyone you're impotent. I'll tell your boss you're stealing from the company. Open the door." When the door didn't give, she lost it. She turned around, grabbed one of the heavy ceramic planters from the porch, a gift from my grandmother, and hurled it. Crash! The living room window, the big bay window right next to the door, shattered inward. Glass sprayed all over the hardwood floor and the rug. I didn't hesitate. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? "My wife is breaking into the house. She's intoxicated, violent, and she just threw a planter through the front window. I am in fear for my safety." Jessica was climbing through the broken window now, cutting her arm on a shard of glass in the process. She tumbled into the living room, bleeding, looking like a horror movie villain. "Give me the iPad," she screamed, charging at me. I ran to the kitchen, putting the island between us. "Stay back, Jessica. The cops are on the way." "I don't care." She grabbed a steak knife from the butcher block on the counter. My blood ran cold. I wasn't angry anymore. I was terrified. "Jessica, put the knife down." She stared at the knife, then at me. A flicker of realization crossed her face, maybe realizing she'd gone too far, or maybe realizing she couldn't win a physical fight against me if it came down to it. She dropped the knife on the floor with a clatter. "You made me do this," she sobbed, suddenly collapsing onto the kitchen floor. The switch from rage to victimhood was instantaneous. "Look what you made me do." 2 minutes later, blue and red lights flooded the living room. The officers came in through the open front door. She had unlocked it after all, and saw the shattered window, the blood on her arm, and the knife on the floor. They separated us immediately. One officer took me to the porch, the other stayed with her. I showed them everything. The video of her screaming threats at the door, the video of her smashing the window, the texts where she threatened to come over, and, just for context so they knew why this was happening, I showed the officer the iPad with the cheating evidence. "She's claiming I abuse her," I told the officer, my hands shaking as the adrenaline crash hit. "She posted it on social media. She threatened to tell you guys I hit her." The officer looked at the broken window, then back at me. "Well, sir, from what I can see, the only person destroying property and making threats tonight is her." They arrested her.
watching my wife, the woman I vowed to spend my life with, being handcuffed and led to a squad car in her red dress, screaming that I was a bastard, was the most surreal moment of my life. The neighbors were all out on their lawns watching. I saw Mrs. Higgins from next door clutching her robe, mouth open. The reputation she cared so much about? Gone. The officer told me she was being charged with domestic disturbance and malicious destruction of property. He asked if I wanted to file a restraining order. Yes, I said, immediately.
I didn't sleep, obviously. I sat on the couch with a baseball bat next to me, watching the jagged hole in my window where the cool night air was drifting in. I felt like a zombie. A zombie with a really expensive mortgage and a wife in the county lockup. By 8 a.m., I was on the phone. I didn't call a therapist. I didn't call my mom. I called the meanest, most expensive divorce lawyer in the city, a woman named Karen, yes, really, who my buddy Mike used during his messy split. I walked into her office at 10 a.m. with a folder. In that folder was the police report number, the printed screenshots of the texts, the photos of the nudes, the Instagram story where she called me an abuser, and the video of her smashing my window. Karen looked through the file, sipping her coffee. She didn't flinch at the nudes or the vulgar texts. She got to the end, closed the folder, and looked at me with a terrifyingly sharp smile. "Mark," she said, "usually I tell my clients to brace for a long, hard fight. He said, she said is a nightmare. But this isn't a divorce case. This is a slaughter." I don't want to destroy her. I lied. Then I corrected myself. Actually, you know what? I do. She tried to ruin my reputation. She tried to frame me for domestic violence. I want the house. I want the savings. I want her to take her debt and get out of my life.
"We can do that," Karen said. "With the adultery evidence and the documented domestic violence against her, she has zero leverage. If she fights this, we threaten to subpoena Ryan and drag him into court. We threaten to make the body cam footage public. She'll fold." We drew up the papers right there. Irreconcilable differences, but with a heavy dose of fault implied by her conduct. I was filing for exclusive use of the marital home. At noon, my phone rang. It was Linda again. "Mark," she sounded exhausted. We bailed her out. She's at our house. She's a mess. She's claiming you provoked her, that you trapped her." "Linda," I cut in. "I don't care. I really, truly don't care what she says anymore. You saw the texts. You know who she is now. If she comes near my house, she goes back to jail. That's the condition of the restraining order." "She needs help," Linda wept. "She's having a breakdown." "She's having consequences," I corrected. "I filed for divorce this morning, Linda. Papers are being served to your address since she's staying there. Don't call me again unless it's through a lawyer." I blocked Linda's number. I went back to the house. I called a glass repair company to fix the window. As I was sweeping up the last of the shards from the rug, I found a piece of plastic. It was a fragment of a fake fingernail. Jessica's. I stood there holding it, and for a second, the weight of the last 10 years hit me. I remembered our wedding day. I remembered the vows, for better or for worse. But then I remembered the text. "He's like a puppy. I could have sex with you in our bed, and he'd probably just ask if I had a good time." She didn't just cheat. She dehumanized me. She viewed my love as weakness. She viewed my trust as stupidity. There was no decision to make anymore. The decision was made the second she sent that text. I wasn't losing a wife. I was losing a parasite. I threw the fingernail in the trash, walked to the kitchen, and poured the rest of the bourbon down the sink. I needed a clear head. I had a war to win, and I was just getting started. It's been a while since I logged into this throwaway, but I figured I owed you guys an ending. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks ago. I'm officially a single man. The last 8 months were a blur of lawyer meetings, mediation sessions, and a lot of therapy. Jessica tried to fight tooth and nail at first. She tried to claim I was financially abusive because I cut off her credit cards. She tried to claim the video of her breaking the window was out of context. But here's the thing about facts. They don't care about your feelings, and they definitely don't care about your lies. My lawyer, Karen, was a shark. We walked into mediation with a stack of evidence 3 inches thick. The police report from the night of the break-in was the nail in the coffin.
Jessica ended up pleading no contest to a lesser charge of trespassing and vandalism to avoid jail time, but she's on probation and has a permanent record now. As for the divorce, she got nothing. No alimony, no chunk of my 401k. I bought her out of the house equity for pennies on the dollar because she was desperate for cash to pay her own legal fees. Where is she now? Last I heard from a mutual friend, who is now my friend, not hers, Jessica is living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment across town. She's working as a receptionist because her old job let her go after the arrest made the local police blotter. And Ryan? The gym god who she was ready to leave me for? He ghosted her 3 days after she got arrested. Turns out, he wasn't looking to adopt a 30-year-old woman with a criminal record and a pending divorce. He just wanted the sex. Once the drama started, he vanished. I almost feel bad for her. Almost. Where am I now? I kept the house. I fixed the window. I bought new sheets. I'm not going to lie and say I'm 100% healed. It messed me up. I have trust issues. I flinch when a partner hides their phone screen. I'm in therapy working through the fact that I spent 10 years with a sociopath. But I'm also free. I go to the gym because I want to, not because she tells me I'm getting fat. I eat what I want. The house is quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet, not the walking on eggshells silence I lived in for the last year. What I learned and my advice to you: trust your gut. That feeling you have? It's not insecurity. It's your subconscious noticing patterns your conscious brain is trying to ignore. If you think she's cheating, she probably is. Don't be the nice guy. I spent months trying to win her back while she was treating me like garbage. I thought if I was just nicer, more understanding, or did more chores, she'd love me again. That was bullshit. She didn't respect me because I was a doormat. The moment I stood up for myself was the moment I got my life back. Receipts are everything. If I hadn't taken screenshots of those texts, if I hadn't recorded her breaking in, she would have ruined me. She would have told the world I beat her, and people would have believed it. Document everything. Scorched earth works. When someone declares war on you, don't try to be diplomatic. They are not your friend. They are not your partner. They are an opponent. Treat them like one until the ink is dry on the divorce papers. So that's it. I'm Mark. I'm 33. I'm divorced. And for the first time in a decade, I can breathe. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I'm going to delete this account now. I've got a date tonight. She seems nice. And she doesn't have a password on her phone.